Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with NVIDIA Daily Analysis. NVIDIA is down about 10% today. Let's discuss what happened today and will NVIDIA recover this week from today's losses. We'll also take a look at other economic data due this week that may impact NVIDIA and other stocks. Now, let's get started. Starting with the daily summary, Nvidia opened at 116.01. It made a high 116.21. It made a low 107.29 and it closed at 108.00. That is 9.53% down. And after hours, another 2% down. So this was a surprise to me. I tried to find out any major reason for Nvidia's drop, but I was not able to find out. I'm not sure what's going on. When I digged into, some of the people are telling this is due to the weaker financial outlook that Nvidia reported in the earnings, and some people are talking about the manufacturing index report that got published today. For example, if I take a look, this one that is from CNBC, that tell one of the reason is the earnings data or the earnings outlook. Let's take a look. Here you see they're talking about some investors saw Nvidia's forecast as disappointing. So even if they reported 30 billion, some people think that the forecast for Q3 and Q4 is not aggressive. And some people are saying that one of the reasons for today's drop is antitrust investigation from Department of Justice on Nvidia. For example, this one. But I do not think this should bring Nvidia down 10%. Probably 1 or 2% makes sense. And this one from Motley Fool, and that says one of the reason is a week's job report that's going to be published sometime end of this week. So investors are cautious before the report gets published. But I do not think this could bring Nvidia down 10%. Another reason they quote is concerns that China will invade Taiwan hit chip stocks again. And at this point, I do not think that China is going to invade Taiwan anytime soon. So that's the two reasons they quoted. Now, this one and this one is from Seeking Alpha. So, one of the reasons they're quoting is the weaker margin outlook in Q3 and Q4. Let's take a look. So, here's what you see here. You see in this graph, from Q1 to Q2, there is a decline in the gross margin and the operating margin. And from Q2 to Q3, the forecast is further down. So, from their point of view, investors are reading into it and trying to adjust their positions on Nvidia. But if this is true, then in my opinion, we should have seen this much drop last week, not this week, because it's already been probably 2 or 3 days since Nvidia published their earnings and the margins, right? So we had Thursday last week and we had Friday last week. So interestingly, on Friday, Nvidia went up. So this looks to me maybe one of the reason, but not one of the major reason for this much drop today. So now I started thinking maybe something is going on in the background that we do not know at this point. And also, short sellers are adding fuel to the fire. Looks to me they are very active today. So let's suppose there is no major reason apart from what I mentioned to you guys, then probably market is overreacting. Okay. So this means that, Nvidia should bounce back or recover sometime end of this week or early next week. So I also looked at my dashboard in my Thinkorswim. I do not find any other reason other than the ones that I mentioned to you guys. We see starting from the top, nothing different. Only thing that I did not talk to you about is September. Some people are saying that September historically been the worst month in the market. Maybe, but that does not explain 10% drop today. Now let's take a look at manufacturing data that got published today. You see that on your screen, the actual PMI today was 47.2 versus the forecast 47.5. The last 5 months in a row, the actuals came lower than the forecast. So that should not be a surprise for the market. In general, when we are in the expansion economy, actuals higher than the forecast is a good news for the market. That tells that, the economic activity is going up. Now let's take a look other economic data that are going to be published this week. Let's take a look market watch. So tomorrow, nothing much coming up, but Thursday, we have weekly initial jobless claim and also ADP employment data. So that's important. And also Friday, we have the US employment report and US unemployment rate, and that's also very important. So Thursday and Friday, we have major economic data coming up. Now let's take a look forward P for Nvidia and other AI stocks. Nvidia forward P at this point is at 35.06. I adjusted the Nvidia forward P calculations based on the latest earnings projections. So from last week to this week, you see a big decline, but it's because I adjusted the calculations based on the latest earnings projections after the earnings report last week. Palantir at this point is 89.71, lower than the last week closing. SMCI continues to go down last week, but slight increase today, and that's a good thing for me at least. AMD also a big drop from last week closing. Now let's take a look other AI stocks. So in my watch list, you can see that almost all of the AI stocks are negative today, except SMCI, that is 0.93% up. Nvidia had the highest drop today, that is 9.53% down. Now let's take a look technical charts. You see 90-day hourly interval chart for Nvidia on your screen and also the MACD chart. So you see that MACD line continues to go down and there is a steep decline there. So that tells that negative momentum is still very strong with Nvidia. See the Nvidia chart, it's a steep decline also. So if you take a look somewhere here, kind of similar decline you notice, and also here similar decline, right? So you see the pattern, decline, then slight recovery, and then more decline. And here you see decline, steep decline, slight recovery, and more decline. So similarly, if we assume that those two patterns are relevant, then we see the decline today, probably Friday, little recovery, right? We can expect, and then further down based on the technical charts. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, right? But based on the technical charts, is telling that more drop can happen on Nvidia. Now let's take a look Bollinger Bands. On your screen, you see the Bollinger Bands, the upper band, the lower band, and also Nvidia stock chart. At this point, you see that lower band continues to go down, and also the gap between the upper band and the lower band is expanding. On Friday, we noticed that Nvidia stock touched the lower band, and I had the feeling that it should bounce back today, but it did not happen. It continued to go down. Kind of similar with this pattern. It went down below lower band, then some recovery, and then went down again. So expecting the same kind of behavior based on the Bollinger Bands. because the upper band and the lower band started expanding again, just like here. Now let's take a look Fibonacci levels. You see Fibonacci levels on your screen. After today's drop, I have reselected Fibonacci lowest and the highest point. So I selected 84.15 as the lowest point and the highest point is 140.56. The reason I selected because in the last 90 days Nvidia did not go below this lowest point. And based on that, you see 78% retracement from the highest point is at 93.86. Another reason this is a strong support is because Nvidia tried to break this level one time and another time here, but was not able to do that. If the negative momentum continues to be stronger in next few days, then probably Nvidia should try to touch 93 level. But I think in order to go to that level, there should be some another bad event or bad news impacting Nvidia. For example, the job report gonna be published on Thursday and Friday. If those data comes bad, then probably that can impact the overall market and also Nvidia. So I guess that's all about Nvidia analysis and assessment for today. Before I conclude, I want to tell that this is a short-term headwinds on Nvidia, in my opinion. There is no big fundamentals change on Nvidia, right? As we notice in the last earnings report. Yes, we have margins going down, and also the sales outlook in Q3 and Q4 is not that strong that we thought. But this outlook or this event should not keep Nvidia low for so long, right? But Nvidia has to recover eventually. I think that at this point things look scary, but I do not think that we should be worried too much. I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more tomorrow. Take care.